Hey guys, this is Georgia Smith. I am daughter of Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, and you're listening to Stu's Wrestling Podcast.
You're listening to Stu's Wrestling Podcast. It's time. Your host, Stu Palmer.
The returning Justin Clapper, and we talk about his episodes that are coming out on Justin Clapper's Pro Wrestling Show, and we cover a whole lot more. So yes, it is part 2 of my interview with my good friend and the host of Justin Clapper's Pro Wrestling Show. It is Justin Clapper. Enjoy.
And I'm trying to think of how many boxers crossed over, but your guy over there, Anthony Agogo.
Oh my God, man. I'll tell you what as well, he was really good in the boxing ring, you know, just obviously the eye injury. I'm just glad he's found wrestling, but yeah, what from what you've seen, I know we haven't seen a lot of him. What are your thoughts on him? You know, going back to like stance, footwork, does he look like he's a bit more natural in a wrestling?
I haven't watched a whole lot of them, but I was just excited. I want to give a shout out to all the guys over there in Progress right now. Bringing him in, Lee McAteer, Martin Best, James, all the guys working there behind the scenes have taken a company that I know had a rabid fan base.
Absolutely.
But they had nothing going on in front of fans. But dare I say it, and I'm going to push my interview with the interview with Lee McAteer on the Pro Wrestling Show that you're going to watch is very different than the interview you and I are doing. It's a very calm, collected. There's not a whole lot of animation, but there's a lot of content in there. Absolutely. From a guy reflecting. Now, the announcement was December 31st of last year. We're in March, and look what they have done.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In a short amount of time. They brought fans back.
And I've got to be fair to Lee. Look what he's been all over the UK at promotions as well. You know, they want to help the business. They want to help the business just as much. Sorry, I interjected.
No, you're good. It's just you and I are so passionate about the same things that I wish we could run. It's the fact that when I'm labeling this interview that I did, I want to say that he's one of the most influential people in British professional wrestling.
No question
right now at this time. No question. I don't want to take anything away from anybody else, but look what he's doing.
It's not just progress. Do you know what I mean? They're looking at the bigger picture.
The bigger picture. And that show, one of their last shows had Cara Noir, the Progress World Champion. All of the Progress, you know, the women's tag champion. Ilya Dragunov, NXT UK champion, was on the show. Ring of Honor World Champion, Jonathan Gresham. All those guys on that same show. And I messaged Lee and go, man, Lee and I have been good friends for a long time. We've worked together. We do work together, and we will keep working together. But that's, you know, I want to do so much to help Progress, but I understand that I don't know how you guys are. I'm American. I'm trying not to ruin it with my American ideas for a British show. But look at the epic things that are happening, and now you've got the Progress World Champion versus the Ring of Honor World Champion coming up here. I mean, we can sit here on a podcast and talk about dream matches. Lee McAteer and Martin Best and James Amner, and they're putting them on. So if you're not watching Progress, something you got to be watching.
I tell you, I'm proud of as well, and he deserves it. Dean Allmark and all the bookings he's getting, man. You know, because he was with All Star for years, obviously. With Brian Dixon, you know, and it's just great to see Dean all over the UK. You know what I mean? He's been incredible for years, and at a show at the first Superstar Pro show last June in Liverpool. Obviously, I was very meek, I was very mild because it was the first show. Angus is doing the rounds, he knows everybody, and I looked up at the stage before they put the curtain up, and all the talent were circling around Dean and getting advice off Dean. They were sat with Dean, and it was amazing to see. I said to him in the hallway at the venue after, I didn't want to come over because you had all the younger people asking. It was lovely to see. I told him this. So I'm chuffed for him because he deserves it. He's been doing it for so many years, and it's great seeing him, JC, all over the place. It's fantastic.
My suggestion for anybody watching this that's over in your neck of the woods is, now that you guys are out of the pandemic and you've got crowds, get to Progress, obviously NXT UK, all the big shows that you can. But if there's a show happening at the leisure center, am I saying that right, in your hometown or close, go to it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to watch some talk to the wrestlers there as a fan. They want to talk to you. Find out. You're going to find some guys that were trained by some pretty big guys. Now, I don't know how it is out there. There's also mud shows that I'm saying with guys that are untrained. I don't know how you're going to be able to tell that in the UK, but you don't want to go. But you'll be able to tell who's a professional, who's not. And you're always going to have a good time at an indie show because you're going to interact. I'm going to boo a guy. He's going to hear it. You're part of the show at an independent show. So I always promote any wrestling fans, whether you're in Wisconsin, whether you're in Wales, wherever you are, support professional wrestling in any way that you can.
Do you know what I like about it? The close proximity at these shows. My nephew came to the show in December with my dad, and obviously I was on comms. And, you just won't get that. You can go to WWE, you can go and watch the big arena show, and it's great, the production and all that. But when you're in amongst it like that and you're so close to the ring, I think you get an even bigger respect for the guys putting the bodies on the line, for our entertainment.
Pro wrestling, especially on the indie level, the way I like to describe it is, have you ever been to a hotel, a swanky hotel that's big, and you go look for the elevators and there's 4 of them or 6 of them? Independent professional wrestling is some people going up the elevator, some people are coming down, you're meeting in the middle. One of my first shows that I was on with the great King Kong Bundy, which is a funny story. I want to get my picture taken because I don't care. And I'm glad a lot of people are like, oh, well, you're in the business, and why would you be like a mark taking pictures? You know why? I wish I would have taken a lot more pictures in video, because some of these guys are gone. I get my picture taken. Mr. Bundy, can I get a picture with you? And it was a Polaroid. And I think I had it up as my profile picture. I think it's up on my Twitter.
I've seen it. I have seen it, man.
He goes, please call me Chris. And I'm like,
what the hell?
I can't. But anyway, independent as a fan, Bundy may have been coming down the elevator. I started going up. My elevator didn't really go to the top floor. My elevator stalled out about floor 2, but the guy coming up from the top floor was down. You're going to find all kinds of people at an indie show, especially when they're going to shell out the money to bring in a name. Go support that. Go have fun. Go see some of the guys that you watched on TV that these promoters are getting in, and go meet them, but also pay attention to the other talent around them. Because it's, that's why you don't drink Coke at 7:30 in the morning, because you got to start belching. But support professional wrestling.
Absolutely.
In all forms. Now there's some, you'll find out. You'll figure it out on your own what promotions and what promoters are straight up. But sometimes as a fan, you don't want to get into the BS of politics. Just want to go there and watch. Go support the boys and girls.
Absolutely. JC, have you seen much of AEW and WWE? Have you had time? Recent stuff, because I know you have got your finger on the pulse with the international wrestling as well.
I got to be honest with you. I haven't been able to watch WWE, and AEW is something I've more and more have set the DVR up to watch. So I am a little bit familiar, but I got to tell you what, Stu, the other day I finished my day of work, and I'm going to watch. There's nothing on. I'll start watching something stupid on streaming, and then I see people going bonkers about MJF's promo, and I'm like, how could I forget it was Wednesday night? And I should have been watching, so I'm an idiot. But talk to me. I'd love to talk about current stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. With AEW, now I understood one thing that I didn't get to keep with the current thing we're talking about, MJF and Punk, right? Why did they lay hands on one another? I know it started at Thanksgiving Dynamite, so you're going back to November. And then I understand they needed a match before Revolution because they went over to TBS. They needed a ratings draw coming off from TNT. Why did they lay hands on one another prior to the match? Give me some old school ideals. Don't lay a finger on one another. Lay a finger on Wardlow, Sean Spears, whatever you got to do. FTR, Tully Blanchard. Do not lay fingers. Wait till TBS or the pay-per-view. It ruins it. I stand by it. I
can't defend him. You're absolutely right. A lot of things that recently happened I watched Adam Page versus Lance Archer out of nowhere, a Texas death match.
Yeah. No rhyme, no reason, no build. No. Yeah. I agree. And
you know what?
I love the match. Don't get me wrong, but I'm
not a big fan of death matches, but when it makes sense, we've exhausted everything. And I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit. How to squeeze a little bit more money out of the fans buying tickets is the old school thing. Why are we, AEW is giving away a lot of matches on cable TV that I think could have been pay-per-view matches, but why all of a sudden, and I know why the thinking is, why did we have Cody Rhodes has the TNT belt, Sammy Guevara, but the first thing we're going to do is let's have a ladder match. There was no build, like quote unquote gimmick matches like that. I say we have a build, and you're right on putting hands on each other, MJF and Punk.
Hey,
you tease that, you sell the pay-per-view, but we don't have pay-per-view.
Don't get me wrong, they built it brilliantly. It was just that was, in my eyes, they didn't need to lay fists or anything until they were on TBS on Dynamite or at the pay-per-view, whichever way they
let me ask you this, because you've come right out and said I didn't really watch the territories. Do you understand the significance, or do you think it was lost on a lot of people when Punk says they're in, where were they, Portland, and let's have a dog collar match?
Because I know it was Piper and Valentine, but obviously it was years later when I saw the match. I'll hold my hands up, but I know why, and I know you're going to elaborate and extend off that now with your thoughts.
I think it was great, that they're going to do it, but Piper's gone, but AEW is big on bringing back, Tully Blanchard, Jake Roberts.
Yeah.
Why don't you all of a sudden? I'm going to sound like a dick here.
No, you're not. It's your opinion.
Greg ain't doing nothing. Bring Greg back.
Yeah. If you're going to have,
you don't even have to bring him ringside. But people do so much good camera work and documentary style. AEW does it too. Have a little interview with Greg and have Greg go, "Hey, this match was significant and historical," and guys, I don't advise that you do this, or just talk about his stuff with Piper, and that match, because I love the way they're bringing history around, but they're not helping today's fan out. I want to, if today's fan, if you watch AEW, I don't care what you watch, what you love, you are living in the age where you can go back into historical YouTube, anything, you can start looking up. A long time ago, of all the people, this is where my ADHD or ADD, and I'm not making fun of it, comes in, because now I'm going to jump over to the band Kiss and Gene Simmons saying, go take your favorite band, your favorite musician. Now go back and find out who influenced them. They were influenced by the Beatles, which you wouldn't think, this and that. So I always, when I do interviews, one of the things I ask a talent was, who was your favorite wrestler growing up? Who trained you? Who broke you in? We're living in, you don't have to just watch AEW. You don't have to, but when AEW is not on, or WWE, find out your favorite. Go to FTR. Tell me, do you recognize the ring gear that they're wearing and what they're tributing there? Not you, because I know you know Midnight Express and everything, but there's a lot of history. Now there's a lot of shit out there too. I can't swear
that they don't delve into, which they could do on commentary. And I think I do like Excalibur on play by play, because he can the moves and all that. His vocabulary is brain, and he knows the moves. I know he wrestled himself. That's second to none. I still maintain there's too many at that commentary booth. You don't need Schiavone and Jim Ross. It's kind of took away from Jim Ross and Schiavone. They're kind of secondary in some respects, I find. And then you go to Rampage. You got Jericho there, Taz. It's too clustered. There's too many opinions. Within a storyline now. Obviously, they're sticking to storylines and stuff. There's too much going on. It could be a 2-man booth like it used to be.
If it's all written correctly.
Yeah.
And
just my 2 cents, JC. That's what I feel.
Now, I somewhat storylines and the build and everything. I got to tell you one story myself. You'll appreciate this. Baltimore Full Gear. It's Tony Schiavone's birthday party over at Jimmy's Famous Seafood. The company I'm working for, we brought in, like I said, I really consider a really good friend, Alicia Tude. And we head over and we're hungry. And she knows everybody. Here I am having dinner with, it's myself, Alicia Tude, Jimmy Havoc, Excalibur, Stu Grayson, and Evil Uno. And we walk past Omega to get to the part of the dining room. MJF comes in. We're getting ready to, we got to go back to the hotel. We got to be up early. The boys are going to be the boys. I'm actually tired because it was a last minute flight for me. So we're getting ready to grab our taxi back to the hotel. And in walks through the door to my right, Tony Khan. And the first thing he does, he doesn't recognize me. So he stops and shakes my hand. And I thought that was one of the coolest moments, no matter if he was the billionaire that he is, or if he's a guy, he doesn't recognize me. He shakes his hand. We leave early. And I'm having dinner with Jimmy Havoc and Excalibur. All right, we are. And we get back the next morning and we hear that they were just talking, had got on TNT talking about the ratings. It was just interesting to be a fly on the wall. And I come back to the fact that they had a massive freaking a Donnybrook after we left there at Jimmy's Famous Seafood. They got into it, and we were both, me and Alicia, well, how the heck those guys were. And I know things have gone on, but say what you want to say about a lot of people, but at least I'll say this about Jimmy, because I know he's no longer. Whatever happened, let him on. Mm-hmm. I judge a man and a person and how they treat me, and the man treated
class.
Me fantastic.
Absolutely. Oh, can I just go back to I love AEW, by the way. Me saying what I've been saying. I watch it week in, week out. I love a lot of it. I love the way they do it. It was just I'm not. No, sometimes I let it go by and I wouldn't say anything, but I just feel going back to that. The feud's been fantastic. They just didn't need to lay hands on one another before getting in that ring, man. But that's old school ideals. That's old school.
And it's not just old. It's old school. But here's where I take it, Stu. Some fans will hear a little snippet of you saying that and go off on Twitter.
Yeah,
blah blah blah.
Spin it. They'll spin it. Yeah,
spin it any way they want. They can spin anything I say.
They can do. They can do what they want. Like, I'm not arsed.
When I listen to you, you're not telling me or asking me. No, You're somebody who goes, hey, am I understanding this correct? And I want the product to be better. Anything I rip on in pro wrestling is because I do want it to be better. I do want it to make sense, because I do think listen, how many times this isn't news. How many times are we going to watch these high spots, get my stuff in, do something totally ridiculous, and for that night, the fans are going to go, wow. But now somebody else has to come out and wrestle the next day, the next match. What are we doing for that storyline build? Why? And I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I've seen it. The first match out on the card, and they're beating the heck out of each other, and this guy takes a DDT on the concrete, and then a suplex on the concrete, and a pile driver, kicks out, and now they pin him with a whatever. Now the next guy's got to come up and go, okay, that they just used my finisher or something that's more devastating looking than my finisher, and they kicked out of it. Like, that's where people go, oh, you're out of touch, you old timers, myself and plenty of
no, because I know you like modern stuff. I know you do.
But I think if people, if the modern and the old school can kind of, we can still have these, make the moves mean something, have a storyline.
It's simple storyline side, but they don't go for simple, do they? As you say, and if you see someone taking their moves on the concrete in real life, that's someone finished, isn't it? If you attribute it to real life, we're getting it. It's under the microscope this now, but it's not believable. That's what you're basically saying, isn't it? How can it be believable when they've kicked out after sustaining all that damage?
Especially with what's going on in the world the last couple of years and currently, what I want to do is I want to turn on the TV. I want to turn on social media. No, it's never going to happen, but I want to be lost. I want to be entertained. I want to believe. I want to watch everything. And if stuff starts to, and I think that's what everybody, the new guys will say I'm out of touch. But I want, if we start getting the storylines and we start making moves make sense, from the time we leave the curtain to the time you go back, as Triple H has said on that famous Tough Enough clip, we're telling a story, but we're telling it with our bodies for the most part. And there's a lot of promos and stuff. If we can get back to that, what we can not only do, and we will never really get back to it, but the realization is, I want these guys to have a career that lasts more than 2-3 years. We go back to some part of this conversation that we're having. And I remember having the thought, but we were talking so much. I've talked to guys who said, hey, what do you think? This company is talking about, I could have the belt here. I could be rated in Pro Wrestling Illustrated's 500. And they're like, but I don't really get into all that gimmicky stuff. I'm me. And I go, hey, listen, this is back when we were talking about Ronnie Garvin having the belt for a month and Tommy Rich having it for 4 days. You absolutely, the belts are something I use to get over. Some people need them, some people don't. But if I can go down and have held, we're talking about Progress. If I can have held the Progress Championship, that's something that after I retire, when I do the conventions, I'm a former Progress World Champion. I was in. Yeah. I don't have to go out and go, hey, I'm the Progress World Champion, or I was number 400 in the PWI 500.
You leave an indelible mark, regardless of how long you've had it.
The fans know that. When the fans know, hey, Stu Palmer, he's a 2-time Progress World Champion, I'm going to go talk to him. He was rated number 47 in the PWI 500. Now, a lot of that is, there's no real 500. How could you possibly do it? And it's just the same way NFL does rankings. Everybody else does ranking. It's in other sports, it's your record. But how many times? I'll go to soccer and football. How many times does the team with the best record win the championship? It doesn't always happen.
Can I just say something? I think it's been unjust. It's been unjust with Cody Rhodes as well. How everyone's like he's in it for himself and all that. He dropped that TNT title 3 times that I can remember off the top of my head. So he was putting people over, and all this about booing him, I didn't understand it at all. It's like, hold on a minute. He might have positioned himself with that belt, but he has lost the belt 3 times to people. Obviously, Brody Lee, God rest his soul. Luke Harper, right? Sammy, obviously now as well, and it's eluding me now who else beat him for it, the TNT title. It's gone. There's a third man and it's gone. But yeah, I didn't understand.
Did Miro have it for a while?
Miro, there you go. Big man, the big man had it. And everyone's like, he's selfish. He does it. He wants to be the draw. Not the case. Not the case at all. He was putting guys over.
I've said it before.
They all congregate the IWC and they all think the same. And this is why I'm like you. I don't go on these message boards or groups and start putting my thoughts on things, really.
I would love to have a group that you could have a discussion like you and I had with it. Your point, because I think the same thing in the world, if you relate with anything else, if we're all talking, we can be better. Now, a story I've told a lot of times that'll relate to Cody. Two things. In the AWA, Vern Gagne would put the belt on himself and the fans hated it. He's running the promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Who does he trust more than himself?
Absolutely.
Probably nobody.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The other story I tell that goes hand in hand. Are you familiar with the late night show with Johnny Carson? Do you know Johnny Carson?
Johnny Carson, obviously from documentaries and stuff like that. We get clips of stuff over in the UK. Yeah, Johnny Carson. But yeah, I'm aware of him.
Johnny
I know what
Carson.
He looks like and stuff.
He was a huge fan of a comedian named Jack Benny. Now this so you know, this all predates me. Jack Benny had passed away before I was born.
We're going back a bit here. We're going back a bit here, old man.
We are.
The old man.
But I'm gonna bring it back to pro wrestling.
Yeah. Okay.
So Johnny Carson was a fan of Jack Benny. Jack Benny discovered during his show called the Jack Benny Show on every week, high ratings. Always had special guest stars back in those days. I'm going to give the guest stars the best lines, the punch lines. Why? Because when they're talking about it around the water cooler, they're going to go, he was on the Jack Benny Show. Mm-hmm. He was on. Carson talked about doing that with late night. My guests have the best thing because they're going to talk about the Johnny Carson Show. Cody Rhodes and some of these guys that do things. I'm dropping, he wants what's best for his business. And he's not going to, it's the guys that are working. I'm not an egomaniac. I'm going to drop the title here. I'm going to do this. Whatever. If they're talking about what happened on AEW, they're talking about AEW. Okay.
Look who he made look better. I know everyone's like, oh, Wardlow, he's going to break off now. He's going to break off. When they had the cage match, I know he won it. He did the spot off the top. He did the moonsault, didn't he? Right. But he made Wardlow look. It enhanced Wardlow in that match. And I mean, we're talking 2 years ago now, JC. It doesn't seem that long ago when they had that match. I understand it's a slow build now that he will break off, from MJF and all that. But you knew then that lad's got something. And it's Cody. It's thanks to Cody again, man. It's just like, I know he won the match, but he enhanced Wardlow. It made you talk about Wardlow, which we hadn't been doing prior. We just knew him as the big man with MJF, didn't we?
Yeah, and sometimes it's sometimes you got to get into the ring in front of a crowd and really, I imagine they had quite a few talks leading up to that match, and they critiqued each other after, going, "Hey, kid, you did this good. This is what I would do here," and it's all about making people better.
Absolutely, JC. Now we're coming to time here, and I could have had you on for 10 hours, and we'd still have plenty to talk about. Which it will happen. You'll be back on. You will be back on this show, no question. You got to get level with Angus, a two-time guest.
Got to get there.
Yes, absolutely. But yes, just before we go, just a little plug for stuff that's going on, and then what's happening and where people can find you, please, Mr. Clapper.
Absolutely. What I would love is if you can go to. I've shared the links. To the pro wrestling show, my first show. This is March 2nd, so I debuted it at midnight. So it's been up for a good 8 hours, and I haven't even been able to check on it yet. But it's the pro wrestling show on YouTube. I've got a link. I told you my technology. I got to change the name of that. At JC Pro Wrestle on Twitter. I need to build my Twitter up. That's the hardest thing to build up. My personal Twitter at Clapper77.
Yeah, which
is hovering around 1,500 followers. The more we can support and follow. If you like what I'm doing, if you like Stu, support Stu on all the Twitters. It's just those follows do help, and the liking and sharing really does help. What I'm really proud of, which is, and I know you just got involved. I created a TikTok during the pandemic to support wrestling travel when they put TikTok out. And I thought, well, I don't know much about it. I don't do Snapchat or any of these things, but I'll create an account just so they have one more follower. And then I started putting my clips from all the shows that I've been to.
Really good as well. Fair play, man.
And you're setting them to music. It was like the old Rock and Wrestling Connection. And all of a sudden I've got 19,000 followers. Because people do like it. And now there's a lot of wrestling. I was a
naysayer, and now, like, off the back of how well you've done, I set one up for the wrestling podcast and for Big Fight as well. So thank you for that, because I know, like, you've done fantastic.
I think I followed, mate. Yeah, I appreciate it, and it's fun. And now that I've become a YouTube creator, I don't have the blue tick. Look at it. There's a guy like, I'm going to rag on Lee McAteer here a little bit because he won't watch this till the end. He's got the blue tick on TikTok with like 60 followers. I got 19,000 and I can't even get the...
He's the big boss. He's the boss, man. It goes without saying.
But I would love to... I'd love... Now, I don't get on TikTok. It's all wrestling clips, so you don't have to see my ugly mug or hear my voice. But what I've really been into now is I want to take these clips and I'm setting them to some 80s hair metal stuff that were like, now you're discovering wrestling clips and you're discovering pro wrestling. So that's at JC Pro Wrestle as well. Instagram, I don't do the stories as much. It just comes with social media, Stu, isn't it? Like there's so much stuff that it's hard. It sounds stupid, but it's hard to get a post out every day.
I'm getting sick of people adding me to wrestling groups saying you're allowed to post your lives and your podcast, and then they decline stuff. And I'll admit it, I must post on these things, but it's to get the views up. Do not add me to a wrestling group or an MMA and boxing group. Give us the license. We asked ahead. We're like, can we just post a few bits a week? Yeah. Then it's getting declined. So that's a separate story for a separate day,
One thing I would be really, really bad if I didn't mention, but Justin Clapper's Pro Wrestling Show has, since before it even became a thing, since before I don't even know I had a business card here, since before I had my logo and everything, I have sponsored and supported Pennsylvania Premier Wrestling, Paul Bowe, Tony McKeegan out there, Alpha Jr., all those guys, the shows out there. I have been a sponsor for them, and then even during the lean times, and I'll make it up to them when I'm going back out to Pennsylvania here, but a proud sponsor of PPW and what they've been doing. So PPW Entertainment on Twitter, check them out. They've had some fantastic, they just had Killer Cross. They have all kinds of people out there, and the guys that are out doing it on the East Coast on that quote unquote local level, they're putting on great shows. And Warrior Wrestling in Chicago that is now touring. In fact, two fantastic promotions. Obviously, Progress I'm associated with, but a lot of stuff that if you can't support me, there's plenty of promotions that you can support. And
absolutely,
those are the ones. And Stu's Wrestling Podcast.
Thank you very much.
The thing I touched on at the beginning, and I'm rambling on and on here.
No,
just so I can throw your timing off. But you, myself, Wrestle Merch Central, Powered 4 TV, and some of these guys, we've all stuck in with each other, and I hope that we continue to support one another and be part of that group that's bringing entertainment. And you as the fan. Like, I would love if you're going to support my stuff, comment on it. You don't just have to like it and subscribe it and share it, which I would love, but comment. What do you want to see? I want to get Stu and Mad Dog. Like I said, I want to do some watch alongs. I want to do a lot of fun stuff. I got match clips, that Horst Hoffman. I'm going to get everything up and going. I'm going to do little commentaries. I'm going to do a lot of things that I wanted to do before, but now I feel like that person who my contract has expired.
Not
now
I can. Not the case though, because you'll be.
Yeah, but now I can do stuff on my own.
Yes, they have got added incentive now. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I own www.prowrestlingshow.com. I've owned it for almost a year now. I lack the expertise to get stuff going on there, and I think I'm going to ask Powered 4 TV to tag in and help me out. I keep paying for that domain.
They'll do it, man.
And
JC,
there's a lot of things.
JC, gonna have to cut
your timing off. All right, Stu, thanks for having me.
I've just jumped in.
We're jumping. We jump on top.
There's another interview. That I've got to do. I know, mate. It's my scheduling. Terrible. Don't do it straight after. But no, thank you so much. I know it's took me ages to get you on. We've done it. I've enjoyed it. I love your where you are in the business. You'll know how you want to help everyone. It's a rarity. It is a rarity. I'm not just blowing smoke. I'll tell it you all the time. But thank you so much, Mr. Justin Clapper of Justin Clapper's Pro Wrestling Show. And yes, the interview with Lee McAteer is up. The new owner of Progress, joint owner of Progress. And JC, thank you so much from Wisconsin.
Thanks, Stu. I appreciate it, and I will see you on the Pro Wrestling Show, as you will be a guest very soon.
Justin truly is one of the nice guys, as you've just heard. The amount of help he gives people in the industry of pro wrestling is amazing, and he doesn't expect anything back. Great qualities. In a world where people are in things for themselves, Justin is the epitome of selflessness. Unbelievable. And I hope you've enjoyed the episode, and I'm sure Justin will be back on again, maybe next year or the year after.